Welcome to today's Flex tutorial, and in today's demo I'm going to be going over code behinds within Flex Builder. Basically, a code behind is a combination of an MXML file, or the layout or the UI of the component, and the addition of a Actionscript file, which is going to control the back end. So I already have a project set up here. Let's open it up in the source and open up the application file. So in my application MXML, I have some code here. It's called search box component, and it is a HBox, and it contains a label, a text input, and a button. So I'll go ahead and run it, and you'll see it's your everyday kind of search input kind of component. So we have the label here, and then you can input and type in your information. It's not wired up to anything in the backend right now. It's just overall it's just UI right now. So let's go back. Instead of having all of this code represent the search box component, we can take this and paste it into its own MXML file, so it can be contained as its own object. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'd like to create a new folder, and I just name this components. And inside my components folder, I can create a new MXML component file, and we'll just name this UI search box. Alright, so that created our MXML for this component. What we need to do is take the code that we have in the application, I'll cut it out, and then I'm going to paste it into the component file here. And you can see how it's wrapped in a canvas right now. We essentially already have our labels and input and button wrapped in an HBox. So what we can do is, instead of using the canvas, we'll take our HBox code and put it up there, the same way we just had it wrapped in the HBox. So I'm going to just take those same attributes that I had before and keep those up there. So I'm going to remove the containing HBox code, and you'll see inside our design mode that we still have our search look and feel. So that's real nice. So now I'm going to show you how we can actually call this component inside our application. And it all revolves around a feature called XML namespace, which you can see here is being called. We're going to create our own XML namespace. So let's do that, XML NS, and we're going to call this custom. This is going to be for our custom components. And what we do is we give it a pass similar to how an import works inside of Actionscript. We're going to actually call the components folder dot, and then use an asterisk the same way that you would call all the assets that are inside of there. So since we created our XML namespace as custom, we can go down here, and inside of our code hinting, if I go ahead and do the less than sign and I start typing in custom, you'll see that our custom search box shows up in here. So essentially this line of code is our custom tag that will then call our search box. We have our custom component, and it's all the UI is there and it's already in place. And the next step is we need to use code behind, which is what this demo is all about, and we're going to add Actionscript to this file. Normally there's a way in MXML where you can do a script tag, and in here you can type in your Actionscript and it will run. But this is a dirty way to do this, and typically we don't do it this way. We just do code behinds, and with the code behind you need an MXML file, which we have, and an Actionscript file. So go ahead and make the Actionscript. We're going to make the folder directory here. So first we'll just call a UID, and then inside that I'll make a folder called custom, which will then hold our Actionscript file that we need to create. So let's do Actionscript class, and we'll just call this search box, and that's going to create our package and our class declarations. So one really important thing that we have to do is our class right now, we need to make it extend an HBox in order to work appropriately to get all the attributes that our MXML has as well. So now that we have that, we need to go in here and create an event listener for Flex creation complete, in order to, once the component is actually created onto the screen, that's when we can actually use Actionscript to manipulate it. So we have to wait for that event to happen before we can do anything. So I'm just going to make a private function here called init that's going to be called after the creation of our component, and then we can actually do some manipulation. So now we have our ActionScript file all set up. We need to make sure that MXML is actually aware of the ActionScript file, and the same way we do that is with an XML namespace. Very similar to how we did with the application class, we're going to do it here, and this is also going to be called custom. And this time we're going to point to our ActionScript file. So it was in uid.asterisk. There we go. And the really cool thing is now that if I go up here and I type in the word custom as my tag and hit the semicolon, you'll see that search box, which is the ActionScript, will then be referred to. And let's end this here. So now, as you can see, we have an ID here called search input inside of MXML that I want to manipulate using ActionScript in the back end. So what I need to do is I need to make a quick reference to this variable. Search input we'll call. So that's calling the text input component that we had on the previous screen. There we go. That's all we need. So then inside of the init function, which is called creation complete, you'll see I can call search input, and if I want to add some text inside of that, we'll put hello world, and I'll go ahead and save it, and let's run it. And you'll see that using our code behind in the ActionScript file, I was able to access this input ID inside the MXML, and then using the ActionScript, I appended the hello world message inside of it using the text attribute. And I hope that this example is just a glimpse into how powerful code behinds are, and that you begin using this in your everyday Flex development, because it is really a powerful tool where you can keep your MXML concise, and be able to have ActionScript in the back end to take care of the UI in the front end. Thanks again.